Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again. It is Tuesday, the second day of coming back to drawing again on the channel, guys. As you'll know, I took a break, holiday time, and sort of just carried on with a lot of my gaming. So if you do like the gaming that I have done in the other time, there is going to be more coming. This week I'm taking a sort of an evening break where in the evenings I'm not playing so much, just because obviously my son's gone back to school, and keeping him awake when I'm sort of it's not fair on him. So he's got to get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, bless him, and go to school. So I try not to do too much in the evenings. But what I have done yesterday, as I did a drawing yesterday, because I was going to go live into the VR and VR and sort of get some of that done for you, but I couldn't think of something so I could have something playing in the background as I was live, like I do, which I will be in a minute. I'll be listening to Comedy Explained again, and I'll be learning about the different Omega level mutants. And so we'll be listening to that in a moment. But what we are actually going to be doing today is more drawing. I've already done the drawing from yesterday, and I don't know if you joined me yesterday, but I've actually changed the face to this one, and I give the shell a little bit more detail. Made him sort of be wearing the shell instead of the shell sort of being around him, if that makes any sense. So he's still got his monkey arms, and he's got his shell here, and he's got like more of a jackety look, which you will see more detail because the camera is a little bit fuzzy, but that is because I'm using this camera here, which is my web camera, which is live. Again, the sound quality is not too bad, and hopefully, I should think, if it isn't, guys, let me know down below in the comment section. Or the deck of visuals are a little bit fuzzy, but you will see a lot more detail today, because I am going to be going in with my inking pen, like I always do on a Tuesday, because every Monday I'll do the sketch, on a Tuesday I will do the inking, and on a Wednesday I will do the colouring in of the piece, and that's what we'll be doing tomorrow, unless I get time to do it today, which I very much doubt, because we've got about an hour to get all this done, so hopefully this will get me done in the hour that I've got, and we'll get it done. Like I said, guys, I did change the face on this yesterday, because I just didn't like the way it was looking off to the sides. I thought I'd give it a face forward facing, and the wings, sort of I tied the wings up a little bit more, and did a lot more little details here for the tail as well. It was a request from Vudo Stash TY. He's on Instagram. I've let him notified him, and hopefully he'll see this video and sort of give it a like. If you do like my drawings, and you do like what the content that I'm putting out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications. As always, give me a thumbs up if you do. But let's get on with what we're doing. I'm going to be putting on the playlist in a moment. So again, guys, my name is Blut084, BLUT 084, Art and Games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram.
What I want to do here is have a discussion about a mutant whose power transcends anyone we've discussed so far, including Frank Richards.
Guys, I've got something in the background, and we're listening to Comics Explained.
In this video,
they'll explain all the comics, and I couldn't really find anything to do with this kind of animal thing. I was going to listen to the Jungle Book, but I'm kind of done with kid stuff now. I know comic books are kid things, but they're a bit more grown up than the Jungle Book. So I thought I'd get that playing in the background with the mutants, as we're making a mutant animal.
Issues 23 through 31.
Where did I put my
phone? The Last Will and Testament of Charles Xavier, and actually exists as a tie-in to the 2014 original Sin event, and occurs alongside the incursions and the end of the Marvel multiverse, leading up to Secret Wars. In a 2014 interview with Comic Book Resources, Brian Michael Bendis had stated that because Original Sin focused on the reveal of information regarding characters from across the Marvel Universe, the idea came to him to use Original Sin as a jumping-off platform to throw out any number of ideas regarding the various secrets of Charles Xavier's life. While I haven't been able to pinpoint an interview where Bendis explicitly cites a reason for the creation of Matthew Malloy, I would surmise that in terms of how the story unfolds, The revelation of Matthew's existence, as well as how Xavier handled the situation, provided for a compelling story that not only challenged Cyclops' personal view of Xavier, but also challenged the way that we as readers viewed him as well. While we won't get more in-depth into this later, since this discussion is better suited within the context of the story, the other half of this coin was Avengers vs. X-Men. With the 2012 crossover
Right, okay, found my phone.
Phoenix Force and its subsequent bonding with Cyclops.
I don't really need it, but I'm going to be quickly making a post to go to Instagram, letting everybody know that I'm about to start inking, and if anybody wants to join. So, yeah, guys, if you have come from Instagram and you're watching this back, thank you very much for doing so. I will start inking in a moment. I'm on my phone quickly and just sending out a quick text message and Instagram.
With Cyclops literally fracturing the mutant community, forming his own school called the New Charles Xavier Institute, and creating his own group composed of Magneto, Emma Frost, Illyana Rasputin, also known as Magic, who in turn began rallying new mutants to their side. So getting into the story of Matthew Malloy, his introduction is actually a slow build. Instead of providing a backstory for his character immediately, Bendis instead chooses to give us glimpses of Matthew and revolve the majority of the first several issues around the X-Men and the last will and testament of Charles Xavier. Initially appearing unnamed, Matthew was introduced by way of what seems to be a sister-in-law. While shying away from her attempts to speak with him, as he's depicted here, Matthew isn't scared so much for himself as he is for everyone else. The reason for this becomes apparent when his sister-in-law's continued attempts to speak with him cause Matthew to lash out in fear, resulting in his sister-in-law as well as everyone within a 10-mile radius being completely annihilated. Jumping to the X-Men, with Jennifer Walters, also known as She-Hulk, still working as a lawyer, her arrival at the Jean Grey School and the reveal of Xavier's will also comes with a caveat in that everybody who's part of the will has to be present for its reveal. Because Cyclops' school exists in a hidden location, while this presents a bit of a challenge, the true issue here is that the X-Men in Jean's school haven't really...
Yeah, I'm going to be inking a lot of this. And what I want to do, just go around again and just sharpen up things. Is that pen working?
As a vigilante, leading up to the current situation.
Yeah,
now, under normal circumstances,
this is my old pen.
The X-Men turning a criminal
this is my old pen, guys.
Within the realm of Marvel
Comics, let's throwing away the wrong pen.
They really like to keep
I think I pulled out the wrong pen. Give me a second.
Their own house.
That ain't the one I want. I want the works. A new pen. Basically the same pen, but it's just a little bit different.
At the end of the day, they had all been brought together by Xavier at some point over the course of their lives, and as such, even if only out of respect, they all owe it to Xavier to put their civil war aside and meet for this one last thing. Picking back up with Matthew, Bendis cracks the door open a little further on the gravity of the situation when Maria Hill with S.H.I.E.L.D. uses a remote device and meets Matthew at the site of his explosive outburst after an unspecified amount of time. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. exists to monitor all threats on the planet Earth, the actions of Matthew did not go unnoticed. The problem with this, though, is that Matthew doesn't know what he did, meaning that whatever power he possesses, he has no ability to control it and doesn't understand how it works. However, like most mutants, Matthew's abilities are tied directly to his emotions, which becomes apparent when Maria Hill's interrogation pushes him too far. Lashing out again after Maria Hill ordered her soldiers to move in, Matthew wipes all of them out and destroys S.H.I.E.L.D. surveillance equipment at the ground level. Picking back up with the X-Men again, the story of Matthew comes into full view when everyone is collected around Jennifer Walters and a recording device is played back. As Charles explains, when the original X-Men team was formed and Cerebro was invented as a way to both track dangerous mutants as well as locate potential recruits, Cerebro had come across an astronomically powerful mutant, the likes of which Xavier...
good morning, Nikki.
While he initially considered...
So I'm faffing here on my phone again. Just about to send out a Instagram post. But good morning. What do you think? I did a little bit of a tidy up yesterday. And you can see that okay. Yeah, I did a little bit more to the face. I didn't like it when it was looking over to the side. I put a little bit, it's shell and a bit more of armor. You can't really, what I can see, you can see, isn't that good? But yeah, I'm going to be sort of tidying this up a little bit and using my ink pen, which is new and spunky.
How it is that he's doing this, what he does reveal is that he believes that he had killed his parents accidentally. The reason why is that on one occasion, his parents were yelling at him, at which point he simply made them vanish. Whether Matthew actually killed them or simply sent them to another location is never explored here. But what Bendis is telling us is that, like Franklin Richards, Matthew has the ability to warp reality. However, as we progress through this, we'll actually learn that Matthew's powers are well beyond anything that Franklin can achieve. And so by snaking his way into Matthew's life as a friend, Xavier was able to make his way into Matthew's emotional barriers, and in doing so, began the slow process of erecting psychic blocks without Matthew noticing. Now, this is something I'd like to focus on for a second, and the reason why is because what this moment does is throw the concept
really good.
Xavier and
yeah, weird is one word. That's the one word I'd say. It is a combination of 3 animals. We've got the turtle down here. As you can see, a little turtle. Turtle. Down the bottom here. And it is a combination of a monkey. A monkey. Monkey! And then we've got a parrot, which is saying, what's going on? So we've got our parrot, our monkey, and you can't see it down there, but our turtle down there, which has been combined with a turtle, a monkey, and a parrot. So there's the bigger version, and I think you joined me yesterday as well, so you will know about the one I did yesterday. Little cute one up in the corner. I've actually done a few more details. Oh, wow, thank you. I didn't think it showed that much skill. It's just a doodle. But thank you very much. Wow, cool, thank you. That's my day now. But like I said, I put a few so I can zoom in here. Let's give you a zoom in. But I put details in with the little nest here. He laid the eggs. And as I said, we've got the parrot. I don't like the beak. Might change the beak as I eat it. It seems a bit too pointy. There's the monkey swinging down. And he's saying, probably want a banana. Banana took ages to spell. I hate that word. And the monkey, parrot, and I think I spelled parrot wrong as well. And turtle. But yeah, there's his head. I'm going to change his ears and make his ears a little bit bigger as well. But there's his beak. I couldn't get that beak there to look like that. So yeah, I don't know what to do there. I think I'll just leave it like that. To be honest with you, you can call it a parrot. But yeah, there's a shell. As I was saying, I've turned it into more of a jacket sort of thing. So he's sort of wearing it instead of it's on top of him. Or it's part of him, should we say, like a turtle they have down here. Mine turtle. Put that back where it was. Show off my coffee mug. Put your coffee there, Nicky. Hopefully you have, because it's probably early in the morning for you.
As a result, Cyclops believes that
I'm sipping my coffee, in fact.
The X-Men is a lie, and that Xavier himself is nothing like the man they were led to believe. Now, while some of the X-Men share this sentiment,
putting 3 into 1.
Their feeling is that regardless of the fact that Xavier was...
How's that playlist in the background? Can you hear that okay? Because obviously I'm going to be quiet in a moment or two when I start doodling.
The X-Men should honor it for the sake of everything that Xavier had given over the years. Now, transitioning back to Matthew, following his destruction of the S.H.I.E.L.D. soldiers, Maria Hill had kept her distance, but also called in the help of Exodus, an Omega-level telepath who once operated as a Horseman of Apocalypse, as well as Headlock, a minor hero who served as part of the West Coast Avengers, and also possesses telepathy and the ability to cast illusions in the minds of others.
It sounds good, thank you.
Hill, Exodus attempts to enter the mind of
right, so make sure this pen works. Yeah, this one's working. I've got 3 of these pens, and they're absolutely amazing. They're probably really good for you to do your writing as well.
Killing them in the process.
Like gel pens. Oh, actually, what are they? Oh, no, Uniball I. Fine.
And so from here, we jump back to Beast as you
whatever, yeah, it's a pen. It's a fine line pen. You always want to use a fine line pen when you're inking. Well, you don't have to use them. I know some people use permanent markers, big chunky ones. I don't personally like using them unless I'm doodling and I'm not really creating anything.
Is because with characters like Franklin Richards, he can manipulate the existing reality to achieve any number of feats, but is limited by the size and scope of the reality that he's in. With Matthew,
you're wearing more of a jacket. You can see what I mean. I will. You know what I'm going to do, Nicky. I'll be.
Matthew draws on the third dimension in order to manipulate reality.
I thought that said something else, and you love something else. I love pens too. What was I saying?
is not limited to
Yeah,
the reality
all
that
about
he's in.
all the construction lines
Now, what I
is
also
what they
want to
call
do here is I
them.
want to focus on the
I
distinction
call
between
them
Scott Summers and
sketch.
Matthew Malloy. Using S.H.I.E.L.D.'s request for aid as a way to locate
Afterwards,
Matthew, the
after I've done
conversation
everything
between the
here,
two is just as important for Scott Summers as it is for Matthew Malloy. With magic looking on, what Cyclops tells Matthew is that he and Cyclops have a lot in common. Allowing Matthew to read his mind, Cyclops reveals that as a child, his power of optic glass manifested itself in a way that had an irreparable impact on his life. The reason why I wanted to focus on this conversation is that what this does is give us some insight into the world of Cyclops.
I wanted to make it look like he was actually wearing it, if you see what I mean
and
there.
how he views the world as a whole. To Cyclops, Xavier was a father figure, but more so than that, as the years passed and he was recruited to the X-Men, while the roster changed and expanded with new members.
I was thinking of a nappy when he got down to this area because it's a bit strange area down here.
The issue Cyclops faced was that when the Avengers saved the world, everyone cheered, but when the X-Men saved it, humanity's hatred always won out. As a result, Cyclops didn't become bitter over the years so much as he began to become frustrated. Unlike Charles Xavier, however, Cyclops allowed his resentment to get the best of him, and while he doesn't say it, looking beyond the pages, a legitimate argument could be made.
Okay, so there's a lot to the ink in this picture. There is a lot to ink. So I'm going to do my very best in this hour that I have to get as much done as possible.
However,
where's this thing? So I'm going to go around.
Is that Brian Michael Bendis has
now.
effectively been writing himself into a corner. Because the story takes place during the events of Time Runs Out, the Avengers and the Fantastic Four aren't part of the picture because they're dealing with the collapse of the multiverse. The Inhumans are dealing with the destruction
may go quiet for a minute or two, guys, so
as well as the Terrigen Mist spreading throughout the
comments
world
coming
and
in.
Up new Inhumans. What Bendis is doing here is basically eliminating.
I'm only kind of outlining what I'm already done, but
with the exception of one. This reason that Bendis selected is considered by many fans to be a cardinal sin of comic books. What Bendis does here is invoke time travel as a way to end the story. What we find here is that during the conversation,
that's kind of what they're going to be doing for the
watching it all unfold,
on the end of the Infinity War.
Responds with a bombardment of missiles attacking the area.
Going to be using time travel,
apparently. To respond in time, and even if he couldn't control his powers. And because Ileana Rasputin's ability to manipulate various magics is not advanced enough to allow her to shield herself or everybody else from the destruction, the result here is that everybody, Cyclops, Magic, and Matthew Malloy, are completely incinerated by the S.H.I.E.L.D. attack. And so with Matthew resurrecting himself after his destruction at the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D., while all of this is happening, one of Cyclops' students, a girl named Tempest, travels into the past and meets Charles Xavier prior to his death during Avengers vs. X-Men. To sidetrack here,
worst thing they ever did was kill him off.
A girl named Eva Bell and was discovered by Cyclops following his departure from the rest of the X-Men.
Cyclops, I don't really care about.
Formation of the new Xavier School. As a mutant who can control time, Eva does this by creating what are called temporal bubbles. Initially, she was only able to stop time within the sphere of those bubbles, but was able to expand them up to the size of a city. As time progressed, though, and her abilities expanded with training at the hands of Ileana Rasputin, Tempest was eventually able to travel and forward through time by using one of her bubbles. Using this ability, Tempest uses her time with Charles Xavier to effectively end Matthew Malloy. Wrapping this event up over the course of a page and a half, Eva's explanation of the circumstance involving Matthew's inability to control his powers has led Charles to take action by traveling to where Matthew Malloy's parents first met. Using his powers, Xavier deters Matthew's father from meeting his mother, and as a result, Matthew simply ceases to exist. Now, at the same time that this is happening, but prior to Xavier's actions, Matthew arrives at the Jean Grey School following the death of Cyclops and Magic in an effort to seek help from Emma Frost and the rest of the X-Men on how to control his powers. However, because Beast had been monitoring the life signs of Cyclops and Magic prior to their deaths, but was unable to detect the S.H.I.E.L.D. assault, the belief of the X-Men is that Matthew had killed them. With Emma Frost lashing out in anger towards Matthew, his inability to control his powers comes into play when he accidentally obliterates Emma Frost entirely. With the X-Men responding in kind, they view Matthew as an enemy and as a result, launch an attack against him simultaneously. However, because Matthew has such extreme powers, he reacts instinctively and in doing so, wipes out all of the X-Men. But with Charles Xavier using his abilities in the past to keep Matthew's parents from meeting, the result is that everything in the story is treated as if it had never happened since Matthew had never existed. Now, what I want to do here is I want to talk about this ending. And the reason why is because for comic fans, this ending represents everything wrong with time travel in comics. For comic readers, time travel has always been a quagmire, in that more often than not, whenever creators write themselves into a corner the way Bendis did here, rather than coming up with unique ways to get out of it, time travel is invoked to result in an otherwise incredible story falling flat on its face. In truth, time travel is a concept that can be used appropriately, such as Hickman's run in Fantastic Four, and that it wasn't used to end the story so much as it was to enhance the importance of Franklin Richards and the lengths that he would go to in order to save his family. However, in this instance, comic readers tend to look at this ending and simply write it off as a perfect example of lazy storytelling. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace!
Advertisement!
Slightly annoying. Getting rid of.
Be sure to check out my second channel called Rob Explains. There you can check out.
Sure, why not? Go and click his second channel, guys. But
So what I want
watch
to do
this
here
first.
is have a discussion on the idea of what it means when a mutant is referred to as beyond Omega level, as well as how this information translates to the character of Gabriel Summers and the steps that Marvel took to demonstrate him as being one of the most powerful characters in all of Marvel Comics. So in my video on mutant power classes, we had talked about how within the context of Marvel Comics, the X-Men, the various governments, and races of the Marvel Universe all structure the mutant hierarchy in terms of most powerful to least powerful. Near the top of the pantheon rests around 9 individuals, all of which are considered to be the most formidable threats on Earth. Possessing abilities like element manipulation in the instance of Storm, or the power to control
What
the genetic
power,
structure of others,
if
in
you
the
could
case
have
of
one,
Elixir, these
would
9
you like?
individuals
What
represent mutants with
what would you like to
powers that have no
manifest
limit
in your
and no infinite
abilities if
potential.
you were a mutation?
Beyond this,
of human
these characters
evolution?
were referred to as existing beyond
Some
Omega
people say
level.
they've already got a few.
These 5
I
characters are
personally think
individuals whose
I've
powers transcend
got a weird
measurement and
set of
allow them to
powers.
control one or all aspects of reality itself, thereby removing them from the confines of earthbound threats and making them universal, or in the case of Mad Jim Jaspers, multi-universal threats. As an example, in
What
Hickman's
powers
run
would
of
you like to
Fantastic
have
Four
there,
during
guys?
his battle with the Mad Celestials from
Let
another reality,
me
both the
know.
present and future versions
Comment
of
section.
Richards were described as beyond Omega level, meaning that his power placed him on par with the cosmic entities of not just his own universe, but any universe in the Marvel multiverse. In X-Men the 198, a companion comic focusing on the fallout of the House of M and the depowering of 98% of Earth's mutant population, a man named Absalom Mercator was revealed to exist beyond
Upsilon
Omega level
exhalation.
and had the
No,
power
that's
to
the wrong word.
manipulate matter on a subatomic scale, whether by direct or indirect contact. While these 2 individuals highlight the extreme power available to beyond Omega
I actually had fun
level
doing these patterns
Vulcan
yesterday.
represents a more reasonable
I am
approach,
now
and
as
that
well.
while he is beyond Omega level, this isn't necessarily
No,
due to his
pattern
ability
play.
to skew reality so much as control over the fundamental energies that make up the universe. So Vulcan makes his debut in the 2006 story Deadly Genesis, which served as a retcon taking place between the time that the original X-Men series ended and the time
I'm
it was relaunched
getting
with Giant Size
cramp in my
X-Men issue number 1 in
handy.
1975.
It's
With
beginning
Giant
to
Size
hurt
X-Men,
because I
Marvel had
haven't done it for
established that the original
ages.
5 X-Men were taken by a little
Ice.
island called Krakoa,
Okay.
and that their rescue recruited
Ice.
Xavier to create a new
Like
X-Men
Iceman.
team consisting of Storm, Colossus,
There is an Ice.
Wolverine,
Oh, what's her
Nightcrawler,
name?
and others.
Frost?
What Ed Brubaker did with Deadly Genesis was
Not Killer Frost and the new series. That's DC. But
was actually
yeah, what kind of like
to rescue the original
or
X-Men.
fire
And
something.
at his first attempt,
We
he
can have
informed
both.
Gabriel
I think
that
there's a hero or a mutant out there that has the fire and ice in their other hand, so you sort of combat each other.
And Petra, a telekinetic,
Fire and
who had
ice.
limited control
That's a classic
over
one.
the
That's a good one.
by causing minor earthquakes and creating rock formations. Now, as he's presented here,
Mine
Vulcan's
personally, I'd like
origin story
something like
comes directly out of the
teleportation.
origin for Scott Summers and his brother Alex Summers. When Scott and Alex, along with their father Christopher and mother Catherine, encountered the Shi'ar Empire and Diken, at the time, while Scott and Alex were sent to safety using a parachute,
Yeah, I would like
Catherine was
teleportation.
2 months pregnant with Gabriel. When she and Christopher were taken aboard Diken's ship, while Christopher tried to fight back to free themselves, in the end, he was subdued, Catherine was killed, and Gabriel was taken from her womb, all while Christopher was made to watch. Now, where the history of Christopher saw him sent to a prison planet to work as a slave, The story of Gabriel saw him placed in a Shi'ar growth chamber, allowing him to
Teleport.
age
Just think of it. You can
and
instantly.
restrain
Ever
flashbacks.
seen that film called Jumpers? I wish they made a
Gabriel's
second one because it was a good film.
since he doesn't remember
It was a good
everything from
idea.
his past.
Just
As
jump,
he tells us,
jump
after being
all over the
artificially
place.
aged, Gabriel was
So
sent to
instead of
work
like,
as a servant for a wealthy
because the
family
amount of
in
times
Shi'ar
I've been late
empire.
for stuff is
During his
unbelievable.
time there, he was
It's
recruited
unbelievable. So if I
by
could,
Vice
you know,
Admiral,
instantly
who gave Gabriel
jump from here to there to
basic
get wherever I wanted to
knowledge,
be,
which also
I would never be
includes
late.
the community and the society, and by extension, the introduction of Gabriel as one of the archangels
And I mean,
of God.
I am
In
late
addition to this, at some
for
point during his adolescence,
everything I do. People have gotten to the point now where they're going to know that I'm going to be late and they don't care. I've been late so much.
To teach him how to use his powers, Gabriel accidentally killed Diandril by disintegrating her. Now, between the time of Diandril's death on the Shi'ar homeworld and Gabriel's recruitment by Xavier, not much is given. At some point, Gabriel revolted against the Shi'ar guards who had been keeping him as a slave for the wealthy family. Destroying them and fleeing the Shi'ar homeworld, Gabriel found himself in a sewer in New York City, presumably living with or near the Morlocks, and was rescued by Moira McTaggart,
Oh
Charles Xavier, and
Morlocks!
who devoted time to adopting mutants and introducing them to the Xavier School. Wrapping back around to Gabriel's recruitment in an effort to save the 5 original X-Men, while the group was able to free Cyclops before they could reach any of the other X-Men, the island had begun to fight Gabriel and his team. During the conflict, Sway was ripped in half, and Darwin, Gabriel, and Petra were completely annihilated by an energy attack from Krakoa. Now, when Giant Size X-Men saw Cyclops return to Krakoa with Storm, Wolverine, and the rest, at the end of that story, Jean Grey had sent the island of Krakoa into space. What Ed Brubaker did was take this idea, incorporate it into Deadly Genesis, and tell us that while this happened, Gabriel Summers and Darwin remained trapped inside after Petra had used her dying act to create a cavern. During this time, Darwin used his ability to adapt to any situation and converted his body to pure energy. Because Vulcan had the power to absorb and manipulate energy, Darwin merged himself with Vulcan, and in doing so, allowed the two of them to stay alive within the island as it floated in space.
Fulcrum.
Now, where the story of Vulcan continues on in Deadly Genesis, for the purpose of our discussion regarding his powers, Deadly Genesis isn't wildly important, but there are a few things we need to cover from the story. The first is that with Deadly Genesis picking up as part of the fallout from the House event, which saw the Scarlet Witch stripping the powers from 98% of the mutant population,
I'm drawing
and
wings.
the X-Men unable to locate him, the control of the Xavier School rests under the authority of Emma Frost, a former member of the Hellfire Club turned hero and member of the X-Men. When Gabriel woke up and made his return to Earth, while Emma was using Cerebra to search the planet for Xavier by looking for his mutant signature, the computer detected Vulcan, which registered off the charts as a mutant that existed well beyond Omega level as it was described by Emma Frost. With Emma established as an
Always a
Omega
mutant
telepath
of Omega level when they've got to fight somebody.
as the writer for
Well,
Deadly
fighting him
Genesis,
if they're not
Ed
Omega
Brubaker
level.
used this to establish how far above her Gabriel stood, and that when she attempted to read him, her mind was completely overwhelmed and shut down. Now, what I also want to touch on here is Vulcan and his dealing with Rachel Summers.
Vulcan.
As the daughter of Jean Grey and Scott Summers from the days of
Wonder if he
Future
named
Past
him really called
stories,
Spock.
Marvel rolled Rachel's character over into the main timeline, explaining that when Kitty Pryde had kept Days of Future Past
Disney
reality,
doesn't own Star Trek yet, do they?
became an alternate reality, something Rachel looked to escape from. Over the course of her publication history, she served alongside
That would
the
mean they
X-Men,
could be in the
became
Marvel
host of the
comic.
Phoenix Force, and became
Because
part of the
they're in
Christian
Marvel.
team
They
extended.
got in there quick,
But
didn't
at
they,
the time of
before
the story, she
dear
had
old
joined the
Stan?
X-Men using the mantle of Marvel Girl.
I wonder if he knew that he was going to. He wanted to sell it to the right
When Vulcan
people.
showed up on Earth after his awakening,
But why would
his
Star
father
Wars be the
convinced
same
Xavier
people? You
to
know what I mean?
protect
It's
his
like,
kingdom,
yeah, we're going to
and
take
sought to lure
all
Xavier
your
out
stuff.
by kidnapping
We're going to
Cyclops
pump
and
it out
Marvel
so everybody
Girl,
hates your
leading to
shit
the
now.
He quickly learned that
Become
he was actually
non-pulp
Rachel.
fiction.
During the conflict, Vulcan demonstrated his abilities to
Like
control
we did
energy
Star Wars,
by
we only
shutting
have
down
mega
synapses
nerds.
in Rachel's brain and knocking her out in the
Because the
process.
mega nerds give
Now,
us
the reason why this is
money.
important and a huge display of power is because as a harbinger for the Phoenix Force and an Omega level telepath,
Was that
Marvel is once again establishing how powerful
Han
Vulcan is,
Solo
and that
has a
neither
different
Emma nor
weapon
Rachel
now?
were able to
Oh, we
stop
can make
him. Now, in terms
millions!
of a full-on display of his power, as well as a definitive answer to what it is that he can do,
Quickly pump
with
out the
Deadly Genesis serving as
toys!
an introduction for Vulcan and a prelude to the War of Kings, the conclusion of Deadly Genesis saw Gabriel making amends with Xavier and Cyclops.
Not a fan of Disney, guys. I like their films. I do like their films, but I do not like the way that they operate.
With Uncanny X-Men issue number
They like to
477,
illuminate
which covers the time that Vulcan
everything.
left Earth and traveled to the Shi'ar, what
Yeah,
we're told is that
include-
originally Vulcan was
can't
not
bring
an
the
Omega
word,
level
but
mutant. Instead,
incorporates
instead would
everything
strip 98% of mutants of their powers and woke Vulcan
into
up.
one
The
universe,
energy
which,
also enhanced his powers, making
well, not
him
universe,
immortal.
that's the wrong word,
Now,
into
why
the
did all this
one
happen is never truly explained, but I would surmise that this was Marvel simply providing us with an
business.
offhanded
I don't know if that makes
explanation
any
of
sense.
why Vulcan isn't a Marvel character, a sentiment was
Yeah,
actually compounded on during the War of Kings event proper.
it's not.
With Vulcan learning that the Shi'ar
I don't
Empire
think it
is
should
now
happen.
ruled by Dekin Cicero
You wouldn't do it
Logia,
with a phone
Vulcan
company.
arrives
You
at
wouldn't
the
have
Shi'ar homeworld and
all
splits
phone
society
companies
in half,
in
causing a
one
civil war
pack.
between
That
those
would
who would
kind of
rather
almost
live
be
as one of
illegal.
Gabriel's subjects
But
and die like
for
a hero.
films and that, I don't know.
At the same time that this was happening, Marvel was writing a story about the Inhumans who were looking to escape a life running from the Kree as they constantly attempted to
I mean,
use
they're all.
Inhumans
That
to
means
their
they're
own
all
ends.
always gonna have good
Attacking 3
films.
Shi'ar warships
Because
and invading the
more
Kree
money,
homeworld Hala,
more films.
Black Bolt
More
took
money,
over
more
the
money,
Kree Empire,
more
but was
money,
targeted by
more
Vulcan
money.
due to his destruction of the Shi'ar warships being viewed as an act of war. With this declaration of war initiating the War of Kings event, and Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 14, which served as a tie-in and also saw the return of Adam Warlock, a messiah figure within the Marvel Universe, not unlike
I know
Jesus.
jack shit about
Vulcan
him,
was
but he's
tracked
very
down by
powerful.
Adam Warlock in an effort to end the war and return peace to the universe. While the battle between
I'm
them
hoping he's going to
short-lived,
come into the
Marvel
films.
effectively gives us a definitive explanation of how powerful Vulcan is when Adam Warlock states that he had to flee the battle due to the fact that Vulcan was one of the most powerful beings he had ever encountered, including the various cosmic entities. What Adam Warlock tells us is that within seconds of their encounter, Vulcan had consumed almost all of his energies and was actually feeding on the energy of the universe itself, and that in the end, the only thing he could do was run away. What this means is that Vulcan does not possess the power to warp reality and fall short of characters like Franklin Richards, who could simply will him out of existence. In comparison to beings like Galactus and the Celestials, Vulcan stands as their equal and is able to rival and even possibly exceed them in power. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I hope it shines some light on how powerful Vulcan is and where he stands in the pantheon of the Marvel Universe, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace! You'll be back in a second. After the advertisements, let's get rid of those advertisements. Bye!
Be sure to check out my second channel called Rob Explains.
And I'm back.
There you can check out videos where I explain things outside of comic books. So the first video on mutants who exist beyond Omega levels seemed pretty popular, and so what I want to do here is take another shot at this and talk
I
about
like
a
drawing
mutant who's one
wings,
half of
but
the most
everybody
common
knows that
Franklin Richards fans
anyway.
among Marvel Comics fans. In this video, I want to have a discussion about Mad Jim Jaspers, as well as lay the question to rest: which one is stronger, Jim Jaspers or Franklin
Jim
Richards?
Jackson. Paper thief.
So Mad Jim Jaspers and the Crooked World actually comes out of Marvel's attempts to branch into the British audience with a line of comics titled Marvel UK. Centered on Captain Britain, a man named Brian.
Captain Britain. I live in Britain. I know jack shit about Captain Britain. Well, who is he? He's just like Captain America from England.
Working at a research facility called Dartmoor
Captain
Energy
America
Research
for
Center.
Britain. Let's call him Captain Britain.
Led by a man named Strag.
Sorted.
Fleeing the scene in order to attain help for the scientists, during his escape, Brian fell into the Siege Perilous, which works as a dimensional doorway of sorts. Coming into contact with a man named Merlin and his
Branch
daughter
into
Roma,
the English.
while we're
People
not
already
initially
like
told
your
who
comics,
they are, they
guys.
offer
That's
Brian
why we buy
a
millions of
choice
them.
between the Sword of Might or the Amulet of Right. With Strag and the Reavers having followed him in order to close out any loose ends, Brian chooses
Okay,
the amulet
cool.
and
Catch you
is
later.
endowed with the power of flight, force fields, super strength, and energy projection on a minor level, which allow him to go on
Thank
to
you for
defeat
joining.
Strag as well as the rest of the Reavers. Now, in terms of Merlin and Roma, these two operate as part of the Marvel multiverse. Because these early stories saw Marvel fleshing out the concept of the multiverse, while stories like Days of Future Past would feature alternate realities, under Alan Davis, Alan Moore, and David Thorpe, Marvel UK was actually the first line to provide an expansion to the multiverse in Marvel Comics, all of which was introduced during the Crooked World story. As they were depicted, Merlin and Roma existed outside of the multiverse and served to ensure its continued existence by destroying foes that were deemed a danger to the multiverse itself. Now, where their purpose seems to run in direct contradiction with the Living Tribunal, in truth, I don't know the answer to this problem. The issue here is that Marvel never really reconciles the role of Merlin in relation to the Living Tribunal, except to say that both individuals simply serve as guardians of the multiverse.
I remember when. when I lost my mind.
So picking up with Captain Britain along with his sidekick Jackdaw, an elf that had the power to teleport as well as influence the mind of others, the story saw the two thrown into an alternate reality called Earth 238, but for unknown reasons. During their initial foray into this reality, the two would come upon a group called the Crazy Gang in the midst of a robbery. And while Captain Britain and Jackdaw aren't easily able to overpower the gang, they end up coming face to face with Mad Jim Jaspers. Now initially, Jim Jaspers does not provide any display of his powers. Instead, he's largely depicted as the mastermind behind the Crazy Gang and their slew of robberies across Britain. However, the world around Captain Britain also seems extremely strange in that the citizens and the Crazy Gang all seem to be depicted in a manner similar to the story of Alice in Wonderland in terms of the various creatures and the physical appearances of people. This becomes especially apparent when Jim Jaspers asks his queen what should happen to Captain Britain, to which
I
she
can't
replies
sing,
that
but
the
I
fight
like
should
to.
be
Oh,
cut off. And so,
oh,
taking the fight to the street, Captain Britain and Jackdaw begin battling the forces of Jim Jaspers, at which point they simply retreat back to the helicopter in the shape of a teapot, which is being piloted by a dormouse. Now, at the same time that this is happening, a woman named Saturnine leads a group called the Dimensional Development Court and stands as the Omniversal Magistrates. In her role, she oversees the evolution of realities and ensures that no one reality falls behind. Because 238 is considered primitive in that its people are selfish, the politicians are corrupt, and individuals with superpowers don't seem to exist, and because the progression of all other realities hinges on the fact that they all progress equally, the goal of Saturday is to instigate something called the push, which would adjust the minds of this world's occupants.
that looks fair enough to me.
In addition to activating
Monkey
superpowers among
arms.
its various citizenry. However, the powers of Jim Jaspers come into fruition moments after the push is initialized when he starts warping reality. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that the Dimensional Development Court in Saturnine did not know what was going on with Jim Jaspers and did not know why all the individuals, the superheroes, and everyone had been wiped out from this reality. But getting back to our story, physically bending the world around him and driving its occupants insane, the initial reaction of Captain Britain is that Saturnine's push has somehow disrupted the fabric of reality and is destroying this universe.
More like Captain America.
Furthermore,
Why are they
while
going to
Captain
like
Britain
Captain
deals
Bloody
with the
Britain?
fallout, he also encounters a being called the Fury. While we're not actually told how it came to be, the police of this world seem to control it and state that the Fury exists to wipe out superheroes. Sending it against Captain Britain, the Fury is able to easily overpower
It's
Brian
superhero villain.
by
Of course, he wants to
analyzing the
wipe
nature of
out
his powers
superhero.
and adapting to them immediately. Unable to cope with the situation and the fact that the world is seemingly falling apart at the seams, Saturnine gathers her personal guard and bails out, leaving Captain Britain and Earth 238 to its fate. Killing Jackdaw and turning on Captain Britain, the Fury begins a relentless assault that would seemingly kill Brian and
I remember when. I remember when I lost my mind.
However, rather than finding himself in a safe place, Brian Braddock falls further down the rabbit hole physics, and that the inside of the helicopter is larger than the helicopter itself. Furthermore, Jim Jaspers provides us with an explanation.
Is that a little bit to go towards
as he explains, at
what's
some
his
point
face?
along the line,
Doctor
he came
Who.
to the realization
What's
that
her
he
face
could warp
now?
reality and in the process ran for the position of Prime Minister on the platform of being anti-superhero.
Prime Minister?
Why it was that he didn't simply will superheroes out of existence and make himself Prime Minister is never explained. But once he was elected to the position, he then created the Fury, which was designed to kill all the superpowered people in the world, except for Jim Jaspers himself by virtue of its
The villain wanted to become Prime Minister of England. You're stupid. No one likes you. Get out of here.
And that various people now accompany the two, one of which includes the recently deceased Jackdaw. Unable to cope with the situation and losing his grip on reality, Captain Britain jumps out of the helicopter and lands at a graveyard dedicated to various superheroes from Britain, including the wildly powerful Miracle Man.
Again, I don't know any of these British
The battle
heroes.
between the two is short-lived, as Captain Britain seems to give up, lashes out at Merlin for sending him to this desolate reality, after which he's completely annihilated by the Fury. And so, picking up with Merlin and Roma, the story transitions to their actions after acquiring what was left of Captain Britain on Earth 238. Using their technology, the two were able to completely rebuild Captain Britain's physical body, as well as restore his memories and his mind. Arriving back on Earth 616, from the mind of Captain Britain, his experience was simply that he arrived on an alternate reality, was killed by the Fury, and woke up on Earth 616, with no knowledge of the actions of Merlin or Wilma. Instead, shortly after his arrival, a group called the Special Executive, which served as a multi-dimensional bounty hunter group, which had been tasked by the Dimensional Development Court to retrieve Brian Braddock, meets with him. Now, as we're told, following the events of Earth 238, because the push coincided with
I remember Got a turtle in a moment.
After she had simply fled, stripping her of her title.
Gosh, it's taking me a while just to do that one. But it is the biggest image soon.
Introducing the
Quickly.
for the first time in
It'll take me so long to do the next
Marvel
one.
establishes that Captain Britain is only one member of the Captain Britain Corps, a multi-dimensional group that safeguards their own realities from various threats, with the Captain Britain of Earth 238 fleeing that reality when the Fury first began killing superheroes. In addition to this, because the Jasper's work has effectively left the entire Earth 238 continuity in shambles, Saturn's replacement, a being named Mandragon, eliminates the Earth 238 reality entirely, which destroys that version of Mad Jim Jaspers along with everyone in it. However, as we discover, in the Earth 616 continuity is another version of Jim Jaspers who, like his 238 counterpart, is implementing a campaign Furthermore, because the Fury has the power to adapt to anything, it was somehow able to adapt to the destruction of Earth 238, and because Captain Britain was transported to the Earth 616 continuity, the Fury developed the ability
Keep
to
tuning, guys, because after I've inked everything,
we don't actually get an explanation
I
of how
will
this
then
happened. I would surmise
go in
that this was most
afterwards
likely the story
and rub out all of my construction lines.
taking the fight
And you can see what I've actually done in pen compared to the difference, what you can still see with the pen cell.
Captain Britain travels to the office of the Prime Minister in London, where Mad Jim Jaspers resides. But once he enters the room, he finds the massive form of Jim Jaspers in a space that is impossibly large, indicating that this version of Jim Jaspers is far more powerful than his Earth 238 counterpart. Now, what happens next is probably one of the most insane displays of reality warping that I've ever seen in a comic, and is one of the reasons why I love Jim Jaspers' character so much. Initially, Captain Britain is led to believe that all of this is a dream when he seems to wake up and is met with Saturnine and Jackdaw, who try to convince Brian Braddock that none of this had happened. However, he suddenly jolts awake in a hospital bed with his sister Psylocke at his side after seeming to have come out of a coma. With the doctors arriving and celebrating the fact that he's awake, Captain Britain goes on to explain his dream, only to learn that all of this was an example of Jim Jaspers using his powers to work
My little
for
mind turtle!
is essentially point to the fact that
I am going to put that there.
Captain Britain is
Just 'cause it's
fully
funny.
outmatched against a being of such incredible power, but also confirms that
Has
Jim
anybody in the
Jaspers
comments
238 universe was still
seen
learning to control his powers, the version of Earth 616 has total control over what he can achieve.
If anybody in the comments seen
with Captain Britain, as well as the slow moving process of
the
eliminating
mind turtle?
superheroes, Mad Jim Jaspers simply wipes all of reality clean and begins with the task of starting the Earth 616 universe all over again. However,
I don't know if you noticed, guys, but he's laying
game,
eggs.
the group is
Or
suddenly
she's
met
laying
with the
eggs.
arrival of the
I think that's how it works with turtles.
Because the cyborg
Turtles
can
lay
adapt
eggs.
to
Monkeys
reality
obviously
and adapt to anything,
birth
Jim
babies.
Jaspers is intrigued due to the fact that the Fury was
Birds
not
lay
effective
eggs
when
as
Jim
well.
Jaspers
So
wiped
I
everything
thought
out.
out of the two, he would have to lay sheep, would have to lay some sort of egg.
In the Earth 238 continuity, this version is a different Jim Jaspers, and that his programming does not apply. Attacking Jaspers by disintegrating his body,
As much as a male would say that they would do it, they cannot.
Jaspers reshaping reality around him into forms that boggle the mind, but with the Fury adapting to every single
I can't lay
attack.
eggs. Can you lay eggs?
Eventually, however, the Fury comes to realize a crucial fact. In the realm of the Earth 616 universe, or any universe for that matter, Jaspers is king and can control anything and everything. However, there's one place where Jaspers is completely powerless, and that place is the Earth 238 continuity. Because that reality was destroyed and exists as a void in space and time, the Fury realizes that without a reality to manipulate, Jaspers is powerless. Now to sidetrack here for a second, as far as the comics have depicted, this is the single difference that separates Franklin Richards and Mad Jim Jaspers. Where Franklin Richards can create the clay needed to mold something, Jim Jaspers needs the clay to mold, meaning that Jim Jaspers cannot create something out of nothing, while Franklin Richards can, which makes Franklin Richards a far more powerful character. And so without a reality to manipulate, the Fury is able to overpower Jim Jaspers, and by virtue of this, able to destroy his brain entirely, killing him in the process. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end, and I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion on that, Jim Jaspers. It was a long time coming. And I will catch you guys later. Be sure to check out my second channel called Rob Explains. There you can check out videos where I explain things outside.
Yeah, guys, go and check them out. Comics Explained.
I was planning to do another Omega Level Mutants video today. I was going through my list and realized I had forgotten one of the mutants of Marvel Comics who's considered to be beyond Omega Level. And so what I want to do here is have a discussion about Mr.
What's beyond Omega Level?
Who are beyond Omega Level mutants. So for those of you who are new to my YouTube channel, the concept of a mutant being Omega Level was introduced as part of Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men in the early 2000s. Up to this point, mutants were simply considered to be powerful, with the stories themselves providing us with an explanation of who was considered to be the most powerful. However, because different characters were written differently by various writers, the powers they possessed changed based on the circumstances, meaning that there was no universal standard. And so the introduction of Omega Level classifications in Marvel allowed us as the reader to gain a better understanding of who the most powerful mutants were, as well as how they were viewed by other heroes and organizations within the realm of Marvel Comics. That said, the character of Mr. M, or Absalom Mercator, first appeared in the short-lived series District X. Written by David Hind, District X was both the name of a location within the Marvel Universe, as well as a series spearheaded by Editor-in-Chief Joe Quesada. Serving as part of Quesada's Revolution line of comics, which functioned to reboot the X-Men series for the modern reader, District X existed as one half of the equation, with the other half being MYX, which will be covered in my explanation video on X23. As part of Grant Morrison's overall reworking of the X-Men series, writer David Hind established that because of the various issues involving racism and bigotry towards mutants on behalf of humans, a handful of mutants came together to form their own community within New York's Alphabet City, so named due to the fact that each street is named after a single letter of the alphabet. Covered within the entirety of the series' first 6 issues, what we're told is that because New York itself falls under the jurisdiction of the NYPD, District X is no exception. However, because of the community's wide array of powers owing to its overpopulation of mutants, as well as prostitution, violence, and poverty, the police were effectively outmatched in their entirety, being completely unable to apprehend mutant criminals by conventional means. While this would spin out into the introduction of the futuristic mutant Bishop as a member of the community's self-policing tactics in order to both ensure safety and assuage the community's distrust of humans. Regarding Absalom Mercator, he was referred to as Mr. M by both the children and the community's inhabitants out of both respect and fear, despite largely keeping to himself. Covered in issue number 4, which focused on Mr. M's backstory, what we're told is that as a child, he had come upon his cousin being bullied. Attempting to get the bully to stop, Absalom reached out and touched him, resulting in the bully being turned inside out. Now, where Absalom tells us that the bully lived like this for 3 days, the implication here is that someone or something reversed the process, or else the bully died. But regardless, Absalom was hidden by his parents and smuggled into the United States, where he had lived with relatives for a majority of his life. Now, something to point out here is that by his own admission, Absalom had watched from the shadows as the various superheroes of the world formed into teams or operated solo, carrying out their various roles within the Marvel Universe. What this meant was that during the events of the Onslaught saga, Operation Zero Tolerance, House of M, Civil War, and the death of Captain America, Absalom had been in existence but chose not to act due to his experiences as a child. To this end, Absalom simply took to making his way in the world, taking odd jobs here and there, eventually settling in Mutant Town after its formation. Now, with regards to his powers, Absalom Mercator is capable of altering the molecular structure of anything he touches, granting him the power to warp reality. Now, something I want to point out here is that Absalom is not on the same level as Franklin Richards or Matthew Malloy. And while there is no hierarchy of power once you get above Omega level, if there were different stages...
Oh yeah, guys, how was on Instagram?
The reason for this is that unlike both Franklin and Matthew...
I'm going to try and take a picture for Instagram and show people sort of what I'm doing, but... if you join here live, you get to see me doing it.
What I mean
or if you watch back, guys.
Powers, Absalom states that he could initiate a nuclear explosion.
Thank you very much for doing that.
Wiping out the entirety of New York and the surrounding area.
I'm going to carry on doing this one now.
Be a little speculative. With atomic
Don't need
explosions
that
occurring by
huge
splitting
amount of
atoms,
detail because it is in the background.
Absalom breathes contains atoms.
Just me
sort of
hint to say what it is.
But again, this is a stretch at best, and at worst, it's absolute nonsense. But regardless of how that would work, the fact remains that because of his ability to manipulate matter through contact, Absalom can instantly heal from any injury so long as brain function remains, control the function and workings of all machines, activate or negate the mutant powers of others, manipulate and control energy on a subatomic level, transform anything into anything else by altering its molecular structure, as well as grant himself telepathy, telekinesis, and increase his own durability to indestructible levels. However, because the District X line of stories was short-lived in the face of Marvel's House of M, which reduced the overall population of mutants, much like Franklin Richards, and most likely due to his ability to manipulate matter, Mr. M retained his powers despite the Scarlet Witch's actions. Now again, because there were a handful of mutants who retained their powers, some of whom were as powerful as Scarlet Witch, while others were weaker, there's no method for us to measure the powers of Mr. M in relation to Scarlet Witch. However, with the fallout of House of M launching Decimation, which focused on the aftermath of the mutant population's reduction, in an effort to ensure the remainder of the population went forward without fear of elimination, the President activated the Office of National Emergency, which in turn deployed Sentinel Squad 1, which contained the now famous machines, albeit operating by pilots. Stationing themselves at the Xavier Institute, under the continued writing of David Hine, Marvel launched the 5-issue limited series titled 198, which dealt with the remaining mutants who were not featured in the larger X-Men title and how they handled the Sentinel occupation. That said, whether through convenience or editorial direction, the powers of Mr. M were modified in that rather than having to make physical contact in order to modify matter, Mr. M simply had to be in the general vicinity of an object or person. As a result, Absalom began traveling around the Xavier Institute, offering his powers as a means to cure ailments suffered by mutants who wished to physically appear normal. In addition to this, because Charles Xavier had remained missing following the House of M, with Emma Frost and Cyclops taking over as heads of the school, during a meeting on the status of the Institute's occupants, Absalom is officially declared an Omega-level mutant in Marvel Comics. Now, for those of you who are new to the Marvel landscape, within Marvel Comics, there are those who are considered to be possibly Omega-level, verified Omega-level, and beyond Omega-level. For mutants like Storm, who can control the elements, or Magneto, who can manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum, fans largely consider them to be potentially or unverified Omega-level mutants. What this means is that, in essence, they have all the qualifications for being an Omega-level mutant, regarding their power being strong enough to lay waste to the planet, or else having no upper limit to their capabilities, but they have never been verified as an Omega-level mutant per se. Now, transitioning to his powers again, because Mr. M presented an anomaly in his abilities, or well
You got that song stuck in my head, I can't get rid of it.
Mr. M, like all mutants in Marvel Comics, fell victim to the powers of Leech. To sidetrack for a second, during his run on the X-Men title and in an effort to beef up the total number of mutants, shut down the powers of other mutants. Somewhat of a trump card, with Absalom recovered to mutants over the Institute, while a handful followed, and his other Cyclops
Phenomenal.
intending to retrieve those who followed Mr. M.
Yeah.
Cyclops
I have food in my bed. I didn't even realize. God damn it. It's still there. Oh no, that's my grey. That's my grey in my bed. Oh. Oh.
16 issues in Marvel Comics. And so if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button to become part of the Raw Report. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace. He'll be back after the advertisement. See you later. I'm gonna turn them off. Goodbye.
So what I want to do here is have a discussion about Iceman Bobby Drake.
Iceman. There you go. Nikki. She comes back.
And what I'm hoping is that at the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of his powers, as well as how they've changed over the course of his publication history. So first things first, I want to provide some clarity on what it means to be an Omega-level mutant.
I have to get on with your stuff. She's going to do her own stream. She did one yesterday. She's reading books, guys. That's her channel and what she's all about. Go check her out. There is a couple collabs. They're a bit out of season now, but it was a holiday time.
Cannot be surpassed. Looking at individuals who can control reality, all matter in existence, ranging from the air we breathe to the water we drink and the ground we walk on, is composed of atoms, and a collection of these atoms are called molecules.
No.
Taking a character like Mad Jim Jaspers, he's able to take the molecules of a substance and restructure them to create something else. As an example, rubbing alcohol is composed of 2 hydrogen and 2 oxygen atoms, usually referred to as H2O2. Using his abilities to control matter, Jim Jaspers could restructure a cup of rubbing alcohol and eliminate one of the oxygen atoms, turning it into H2O, also known as water. While not all mutants
Also
are
known as
capable of this
water.
level
Everybody
of
knows what
ability,
H2O
in terms of
is.
people who can warp
If you don't,
reality, the Omega
you're too
level
young. You haven't been to school
classification is
yet.
designed to tell us that they could essentially bring an end to everything in the universe. Now, looking at telepaths like Emma Frost, Quentin Quire,
Go
or
to school,
Jean Grey,
kids.
the Omega level classification is designed to tell us that there are no telepaths in Marvel Comics capable of exceeding their levels of telepathy. Instead, all other telepaths are either equal to their power or less powerful. Now, having said that, I want to start this video on Iceman off with the original depiction of his powers and move forward from there. So when Bobby Drake first appeared in Marvel Comics with X-Men issue number 1, during this time, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were still fleshing out the idea of powers and what mutants were capable of. What I mean here is that at the time of the X-Men's creation, Marvel's roster of superpowered Earthbound heroes consisted of Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, and the Fantastic Four, all of whom derived their abilities from cosmic rays or some form of radiation. To this end, these abilities were simple to flesh out in that they were rooted in science and could easily be grasped by the reader. On the other hand, because these characters were so popular, Marvel had to create mutants in a way that ensured their powers would still be impressive, but wouldn't come off as a copy of established abilities. As a result, while the rest of the X-Men as they were introduced included Cyclops with optic beams, Jean Grey with telekinesis, Hank McCoy with enhanced strength and agility, as well as Angel with physical wings, Iceman was established as being someone who had the power to manipulate the cold. Now, the basic premise of these abilities is something that I'd like you to keep in the back of your mind, and the reason why is that over the course of this video, we'll transition through the evolution of his abilities, culminating in his classification as an Omega level mutant, and what exactly it is that he's doing when he uses his powers. Now, regarding his original appearance, since the comics were targeted towards young readers and the X-Men themselves were teenagers, the powers of Iceman reflected this in that he was simply depicted as a snowman. Now, an important distinction to make here is that Bobby Drake is not physically turning himself into snow. Instead, he's providing himself with a snowy covering that's akin to icy snow, which protects him from conventional weapons. Something Marvel also established early on was that Bobby had the power to create various defensive constructs out of snow, including ramps
I have that comic he's talking about now.
Cyclops' optic beams, as well as offensive constructs like snow grenades, which encompass other objects, blanketing them in snow, and actually freezing them in the process. Now, the way that Bobby Drake does this is by literally bringing hydrogen and oxygen atoms together to form water, and then freezing them to create objects or surround himself with snow. Now, I'd like you to keep this in the back of your mind, since this will be one half of the equation that will go on to establish why Iceman is Omega level. But following these first depictions of his powers, the constructs available to Iceman began to expand, including virtually anything he wished to create, with X-Men issue number 4 providing us with our first view of Bobby Drake creating ice ramps, allowing him to slide from one location to another. However, Marvel also established that there were limits to Iceman's abilities as well as weaknesses. As an example, Bobby Drake was originally only able to affect objects within his field of view, meaning that he couldn't arbitrarily freeze an object on the other side of the world. In addition to this, temperatures as high as 212 degrees, which is where water converts to steam, were capable of melting Bobby's snow exterior, as well as melting the constructs that he created. Now, following this, emphasis was put on Bobby Drake fine-tuning his abilities and was reflected in issue number 6, which provided him with a more human appearance while encased in snow. In addition to this, with issue number 7, the snow appearance of Bobby Drake and his constructs began to reflect an icier appearance, with the walls that he created showing to have icicles with more of a bluish hue. And in issue number 28, Marvel established that he was able to take on an icy form that could actually make him almost transparent. However, because these early comics functioned to establish the foundations of the X-Men's abilities, between issue number 4 and the cancellation and reboot of the series with issue number 94, not much changed in terms of his powers. Instead, focus was placed on creating a more well-rounded representation of his abilities, with issue number 64 maintaining that his weakness was still rooted in extremely high temperatures, something that was carried over to the X-Factor line under Bob Layton and Louise Simonson. To sidetrack for a second, if you guys recall my videos on the history of the X-Men, we had talked about how the relaunch of the series focused on the introduction of a new team, with the original X-Men taking a back seat. As a result, Iceman was among those characters who had a series of spotty appearances between 1975 and 1986, leading up to the launch of X-Factor. Now, where Bob Layton did not last long
You got
on
the
X Factor
X-Factor?
after only
No, I
35
know.
issues, on the
Sorry.
whole, Bobby Drake saw virtually no expansion on his abilities during this time. In truth, during the entire
Can you
run of
sing in
X-Factor,
front of a load of
X-Men
people
powers largely
and
remain the same as they
win
did during
bollocks
the latter
all?
half of the original
Yes.
X-Men title prior to its cancellation. The reason
Can I make
for
a
this
fool of
was that the
myself
X-Factor
so people
title
like
was
me?
not designed
Should I
to
do that
exploit
every
the
day?
abilities of heroes. Instead, because it involved characters that we were already familiar
If
with,
you are liking
the
my content
X-Factor
again,
line
guys, don't
focused
forget to leave a
largely on
like
story-based
and
content,
join me
introducing
every
villains
single
like
day
Apocalypse and his Four
for either
Horsemen,
some art or
as well
gaming.
as seeing the fall of Warren Worthington
And
as
again,
he
guys,
became
in the
the Horseman of
evening,
Death.
lately,
As a result, it
or
wasn't until
the next
Uncanny
couple
X-Men issue
sort of
number
days,
314 under Scott
I
Lobdell
won't be gaming
that
so much in the
Iceman was
evening,
elevated to Omega level status.
just because my son needs to sleep
Now to sidetrack for a
and
second,
get used to
for
having to
more
get up in early in the
information
mornings
concerning
for
the
school.
X-Men, the mutant telepath Emma Frost was a long-standing member of
And I
the
will be
Hellfire
here every
Club
day.
Inner Circle. As an organization composed of powerful mutants who
Drawing
were
this
also
week.
extremely wealthy, during this time, it was led by Sebastian Shaw, a mutant with the ability to convert energy into physical strength, and the organization functioned to influence world events in their favor. Where these efforts range from financing Stephen
Well, that's
Lang's
everything.
Superman project to
That's
capturing
everything
Jean
inked.
Grey during the Dark
Just
Phoenix
turn the
Saga,
light on.
the group also had students of their own in a manner akin to the X-Men. Referred to as the Hellions, these young mutants were trained by Emma Frost personally at her Massachusetts Academy and were formed in response to Charles Xavier's X-Men.
I didn't realise there was no light on.
However, in Uncanny X-Men
You couldn't see
issue
that
number
well.
282, which coincided with the introduction of Bishop.
Okay, right. So what I've done so far, guys, is I've inked everything. I don't really need to do much else to it, to be completely honest, because I did do a load of markup stuff yesterday. I'm going to give him his thing here.
Place herself in a coma, during which time she was
Ooh.
discovered by the X-Men.
Is it kind of get what's going on? So it's like, you know, what's going on? And the monkey's saying, I'm a monkey pirate turtle. Well, I'll ask Alexa for the spellings of those. And Polly want a cracker. No, Polly want a monkey. Polly want a banana. But yeah, I've inked everything out now. I'm not sure if I should bother with that moon. I'm going to leave it there. I don't think I'll colour it yet. When I go to the digital version, I will eventually colour things over.
And while this revelation is only covered in the single page,
well, that will be tomorrow.
Again, guys, don't forget to hit subscribe,
ding the bell.
4% of the Earth's atmosphere is water vapor, and 71% of the planet is covered in water. Iceman's abilities have an infinite source of fuel.
Let's give you a zoom in before I take away all the construction lines. Yeah, I'll add in all the speech bubbles. I just want to get the spellings right before I do. And give you a quick look at what we've done. So again, we've got a turtle with a monkey and a parrot. 3 animals combined into one big animal.
2008, following the release of X-Men Manifest Destiny. Focusing on the X-Men moving its headquarters to San Francisco.
There.
During an interview with Global News Sources, Writer had stated that
see that? Storage area. In fact, if anybody can tell me what that tower is over there,
if you ever taken a chemistry or physics,
let me know in the comment section.
Heat is simply a byproduct of molecules moving at extremely high speeds, and cold is a byproduct of molecules moving.
My son came up with a name for this one as well. He's called Turkbird.
Absolute zero is used to define what happens.
I was going to call him Turdbird.
Meaning that when Iceman uses his powers, in addition to manipulating the atoms of hydrogen and oxygen to create water, he's also
Turkbird.
molecules.
Son called him.
Cold. To this end, while this type of control is limited to the immediate vicinity, if given enough training, the ability to control molecules could expand to all of space and time.
PlayStation. Continue.
That being said, we're going to bring this video to an end, and make sure you guys post
the microphone came on.
Let me know which Omega level mutant you think we should discuss next.
It comes through my headset. My
Peace.
It comes from my VR headset. Mic's always on apparently, which isn't a good thing. You always hear what I'm saying. The government know what I'm saying, guys. I want a banana. BANANA. A.
I am capable of causing you great pain, Captain.
Oh, yeah, new series.
Take a message back to your people.
Sorry, guys, adverts what actually I don't want to skip.
Bitch.
Orville Season 2, Thursday, 9 p.m. Yes! I love it!
I want to shift our focus to one of the most powerful mutants in the history of Marvel Comics. None other than Santa Claus. However, because he only appears within the main Marvel
We're a bit out of season, so I'll
six-page
skip
short
on.
story,
I can't skip this
instead
one.
of focusing strictly on his powers, I want to beef this up a bit by providing you guys with the story itself, and then wrapping back around as to why he's considered to be an Omega-level mutant. So coming after the departure of Chris Claremont and Jim Lee from the X-Men title, the establishment of Santa as a mutant. So continuing our series on
Yeah, I moved that one on, guys. We're out of season. I wish I knew those. I could have used those in the Christmas time. Bloody hell.
Also known as X-Men.
X-Men.
Unfamiliar with the terminology of Omega level, this phrasing is designed to reference individuals who can warp reality, are inherently immortal, meaning they can't be killed by any normal means,
What's
or
going
have a
on?
level of telepathy and telekinesis that have reached a point where they can't be surpassed.
What's going on?
Having said that, if you haven't seen my video on the origins of Cable, which you'll find in the description, we had talked about how his mutant powers of telepathy and telekinesis were greatly reduced due to being exposed to a techno-organic virus by Apocalypse. As a result, instead of allowing his powers to expand naturally at a young age, he was taught and has consistently used his powers to keep the virus from eating him alive, something that has kept Cable away from the opportunity to reach his full potential and achieve Omega-level status. However, for Nate Gray, this was never an issue. Originally hailing from the Age of Apocalypse timeline, an alternate reality resulting from the mutant David Haller traveling into the past and killing Charles Xavier, because the death of Professor Xavier prevented the formation of the X-Men as we know them, the villain Apocalypse
It's the X-Men as we know it.
While some of these changes were small in that Magneto had led the Johnny-come-lately X-Men instead of Xavier, other changes were huge in that the Avengers, the Fantastic Four,
How do I spell parrot? Somebody spell parrot for me! Alexa.
In addition to these varying differences
How do I spell
between the Age of
parrot?
Apocalypse and the main Marvel Universe, the mutant geneticist Mr. Sinister believed that the offspring of Jean Grey and Scott Summers would produce a child of incredible power, capable of destroying Apocalypse and ending his reign.
That's Paris, you fucking idiot. Sorry for swearing. Not Paris, you stupid machine. Parrot. Squaw.
But because both mutants had served time in the pens under the experimentation of Beast, who was a direct servant of Sinister, Sinister was able to use their DNA as it had been acquired by Hank McCoy, allowing him to clone a child. It's for this reason that much like Strife, who exists as Cable's clone, Nate Gray is essentially what Cable would have been had he not been infected with a techno-organic virus. However, unlike Strife, Nate Gray was destined for premature death, and that when Sinister cloned him, he removed
okay,
the
it's a apparently.
check, meaning
What's a It tells me every single letter, but
Having said that, in his original appearance,
as I like to spell in phonics, of course. Parrot. I'm sure I spelled parrot wrong. Alexa, how do you spell parrot?
As a result, this revelation combined with the depiction of his character
I was doing Marrett. I hate you, Alexa. Shut up.
made him extremely popular
Shut up!
among the reader base, meaning
Shut up!
when Age of Apocalypse ended and the timeline was reached Nate Gray was folded into the
Turtle.
universe with his own self-titled line of comics.
And I'm pretty
Now,
sure
focusing on his powers, where
I'm
Nate Gray
spelling
quite
turtle
literally
wrong,
fell
but
out of the
I'm pretty
sky
sure
and landed in the main
stupid
Marvel
Alexa
universe.
button
His
won't
eventual arrival did
let-
not draw the attention
won't
of anyone.
tell me how to
And
spell.
therein was
You would
one
think a
of the
machine
reasons
would know how to
Nate Gray
spell if it's
possessed
worded.
incredible abilities.
I don't think I'm saying parrot wrong, and I'm saying it in a bit of a voice, but come on.
Blacksmith had informed Charles Xavier that a mutant with the same genetic signature as Cable had arrived in their time. Investigating the scene for himself prior to meeting with Xavier, Blacksmith discovered that Nate Gray had stumbled into Dark Beast, the version of Hank McCoy who had also survived the Age of Apocalypse.
Okay,
Where
right,
Blacksmith
so that's
originally thought that
all
they might
the
have been
inking
Strife,
done.
Another Omega level mutant and the clone of Cable. Blacksmith
Hopefully
also had
you,
the realization that the powers of Nate
hopefully
Gray
you,
exceeded
like
those
this
of
one?
Cable and even Professor Xavier.
So far,
Now, the importance of this was that as the world's most powerful telepath, while Xavier did sense Nate Gray for a few seconds,
I am going to take a picture on the before and the after because I'm probably going to get rid of that moon.
Something that was believed to be impossible. This particular bit was
You can't really see the
expanded on
moon
a
bits in
two-part
there.
story covered between X-Men issue number 12 and Excalibur issue number 95, and then after being taken to Moore McTaggart for examination regarding his abilities,
So I'm pretty much done now, guys, on the inking side of it.
was on par with Jean Grey.
I am going to rub out a thing so you can see the
As a
difference
result of this immense telepathy,
of
and
construction.
insight
But I don't know where I put
to
my
learn and
tablet.
understand
So
all
I've got to take a
languages
picture of my
perfectly.
tablet.
He could read thoughts and emotions left on objects that had previously been touched. He could detect rifts in the fabric of space and time, and he could leave his physical body, allowing him to journey to the astral plane, where he could see the future with relative accuracy. In addition to this, as the solo series continued on, his powers were honed by their constant use, meaning that by issue number 32, titled Who or What is Jackknife, Nate Gray was shown to be capable of increasing the abilities of other
Just again, guys, we've got a turtle, a parrot, and a monkey in there. So what do you think of my turtle, parrot, monkey? His name is Turkbird. It was named by my son.
By manipulating and isolating the gravitational pull around the villain, which resulted in Tundra being pulled apart at the seams and imploding under the extreme pressure. On top of this, in X-Men issues 63 and 67, Nate's telekinesis was powerful enough that he could move the chemicals around in a woman's brain, curing her of cancer. He collapsed a city 2,600 miles away while having a nightmare. He could manipulate the particles of sand and water, allowing him to make holograms of himself.
Go to the camera on my tablet. This is how I take it over to the digital side of it, guys. What I do is I take a picture.
He could manipulate the molecules of solid matter or himself, allowing him to phase through physical objects. He could absorb the electromagnetic spectrum of the Earth and use it to enhance his concussive attacks. He could heal himself from virtually any attack, and he could use his telekinesis to break the barriers of space and time, allowing him to move to any dimension or point in time.
I'll take a picture on my tablet, guys, and then I'll use that file and put it onto my PC. And then when I put it onto the PC, guys, I go into my free app called Critter, which is basically Photoshop. It's like a poor man's version. It's not got all the updated tools, but it's got all the original tools, plus a hell of a lot more. If you want to go and check those out, guys, they are a lot of my videos, or every single video, or every single theme, every single week, every single month. I will do the theme or what I'm doing on that month's theme, because every month does have a theme, guys. So if you are interested in what I do, don't forget to go and look up in the playlists on my channel, guys, where you can find all the other artwork that I've done, all the other digital artwork I've done, and a few tutorials as well. So don't forget to click those links up that will appear at the end of the video. Or if you would like a link directly to something in particular, then ask me and I'll put it down below. But hopefully you have enjoyed today's stream, guys. I'm going to get rid of all of my construction lines now. So you can see what I've actually inked and the difference between the pencil, which never stays on my pictures. I never keep the pencil unless it's a shading, but a lot of the shading will be done now in either my Copic marker pens, depending on whether I can get them. Not whether I can get them. Sorry, I've already got them. I'm gonna have to get rid of this advert. Go away. I can't skip the ad. The video will continue after the advertisement, so I have to talk over this bit. But like I was saying, guys, I'm going to be going on with
So as we continue our series on Omega level mutants, which focuses
getting rid of this, but I will continue this picture tomorrow, add all of the color like I do every Wednesday. As Monday is the sketching side of it. Tuesday is the inking,
which have reached a point where they cannot be surpassed.
And
having said that, if you haven't seen my videos on the House of M, which you'll find in the
Thursday, Wednesdays is coloring, and like I was saying, on a Friday and a Thursday,
with the main story focusing largely on Scarlet Witch kidnapping
I will go.
Using his telepathic abilities to read the minds of the world's most prominent heroes.
Whoops. I will go over to my digital format called Critter.
No more mutants. While the idea going forward after the House of M was a complete elimination of the mutant population, because the core members of the
X-Men more likely we'll record that and instead of sharing it live.
The mutant population down to 198. covering the fallout of House of M in multiple series, including the Decimation storyline, as well as the limited series, The 198. These story arcs served to remove the mutants from the landscape of Marvel's Civil War storyline. But in 2007, Marvel began the process of returning mutants to the landscape by initiating the Messiah Complex event and the birth of Hope Summers. Now, in her initial appearance, the powers of Hope were left largely ambiguous. The reason for this was that as a character who was teased to be the...
I don't know if you can see the difference in that, guys. Obviously, I can. Now, what's going on? Now I've gotten rid of all of the construction lines.
Leading into a search between the X-Men, William Stryker's Purifiers, who believed it was their mission from God to kill mutants.
See the detail with the inking pen?
Over the course of these early stories, Hope is shown to be the sole survivor of a village massacre in Alaska.
Oh, I've missed a bit out there.
Hope remained intriguing, and that the Messiah Complex went on to establish that Bishop's timeline resulted in Hope Summers having wiped out 1 million humans in the 6 Second War, leading to the launch of the Sentinel program in a world almost identical to the Days of Future Past.
So yeah.
Now, if you're
let me know, guys. What do you think?
You can find this information in this video.
And if you make it all the way to the end of the video, guys, thank you very much for doing so. My name is Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games. Here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. Everything that I do play on Mixer will be uploaded to the channel. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to check out my other games that I do get up to. And I will be starting all my streams and all of my normal routines from last year. So on Monday, I will be doing some more inking. Sorry, on a Monday, I will be doing sketch from an idea that I've either gotten off Instagram or from somewhere that someone's sort of given me an inspiration, or a book that I think, oh, that's a good one, and I'll get a reader up in the top corner or somebody reading it in the background like you have today. But today is, this month is going to be mutant animals, so keep tuned and leave your suggestions down below in the comment section of what animals you think I should combine next. And I will do. Definitely give me 3 animals. If you can only think of 2, guys, or you got 2 animals that you have a favorite, then you can still leave them down below, and I'll maybe pick another one and then combine that with those 2 that you've got. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching. My name again is Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, and every day and night over on Instagram, which is where I'll be posting this, so you can see it in full actual quality, because I know this camera's a little bit fuzzy. So don't forget to come over there, please subscribe, leave a like, and I will see you over on Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Her powers would subside again.